says we're gonna have to get this thing rolling. Let's start with Pledge Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Teresa.
Okay, we have Keel,
Yes.
O'Hara,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
and Minnie, Brenneman, and Monahan are absent with notice.
Wow. Motion to approve the agenda. I'll move. Second, anybody?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll say aye too, so it sounds like we have four. I gotta think of that. Approve the minutes from the previous meeting, 7/21/20. Got a motion for that?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. Randall?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yep.
And I'm a yes. It's easier than I can remember. No bills that I see. Hard to believe, usually Jeremy leaves me bills to sign. Public comments. Visitors, Laura. And we're gonna rock, I'm telling you.
All right. Gonna give you my report from Park and Rec for this year.
All right,
Obviously due to COVID, we made some changes. We usually hold Park and Rec in June, but we waited until we knew that it was okay to go forth with it, and we held it in July. And it worked out really well. Last year we had over 100 kids, but just due to regulations and trying to follow guidelines, we limited group sizes to 30 per group. We ended up with about 78 kids registered, but we averaged about 20 per day per group, and our last group was smaller, but it worked really well that way. With everything, it worked good that way. Definitely a smaller group, but we just tried to use that to encourage social distancing, mostly in the shelters. We were outside of the shelter a lot, so that helped a lot being outside. We sanitized constantly and everything that we were commonly touching and the equipment that we used. Kids were encouraged to bring water bottles that were labeled since fountains were shut off. We tried to communicate with parents often. We rotated our game areas in the grass around the park to try to keep, the wear and tear on the grass to a minimum. And we stayed under budget. And though we were forced to make adjustments, I think overall it went really well. So.
awesome, I'm glad we did it.
And I had a lot of comments from
Yes.
parents saying thank you.
Yeah.
It was a good thing, and I think kind of a nice little entrance into school,
Yeah.
maybe seeing what it's like to have kids together and how we can kind of make it work a little, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, any questions, concerns?
Well, that's just awesome. It's probably good to see the kids get together with their friends.
Yeah, a lot of parents said they were thankful for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So,
Thank you
that's
for all
really
the extra
good.
work.
We really appreciate you doing that, and we look forward to another year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other visitors? Nope. We'll move into applications, ordinances, and therefore, and what ifs. First one is ordinance 690.
Motion to approve ordinance 690 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? This is second read, so the changes are in red.
And nothing's been changed since first reading, that's
Yep.
exactly.
If no further discussion, we'll vote. O'Hara?
Yep.
Keel?
Yes.
Randall?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Next is to approve the CARES Act COVID Recovery Fund Reimbursement Agreement. Boy, that's a mouthful. Teresa, give us just a little background on this.
Yeah, so as I've mentioned in previous meetings, because of the CARES Act that the federal government has put out, municipalities and counties can basically get reimbursed for expenses due to COVID, expenses that weren't originally in our budget, so the extra money we've had to spend on, sanitizing, cleaners, extra help we've had to put in because of COVID, we can get our police services reimbursed of what we're paying out there, which is a big expense to us. The barricades, the plexiglass, anything related to COVID, we can basically get reimbursement or apply for reimbursement through the federal government. So that, it's a huge help to cities and counties there. So in order to get that reimbursement though, this agreement that's before you basically states, we agree that it's, only for COVID related expenses. It's between, basically from March till the end of the year, are the only expenses covered. States that, we've got to, register with them, we've got to submit reimbursement, we've got to show documentation proof, that's basically, in essence what the agreement is, is our agreement with the federal government that, we're gonna follow this procedure as far as for applying for reimbursement, so that's what this agreement will do, and it is a nice help for the cities that have had to incur extra expense here.
Perfect. Anybody have any additional questions for Teresa or any comments on this? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
Second. Any further discussion? If not, we'll vote. Randall?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
O'Hara? And I'm a yes. All right, the second part of this kind of goes right along with it, right, Teresa?
Yep, exactly. Resolution 2029 is basically a resolution that, stating that we authorize the mayor to sign, any paperwork or documentation, including this agreement, on behalf of the city for this CARES Act. So it's basically designating the mayor as our authorized signer for this.
Motion to approve resolution number 2020-9 as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Now we'll vote. Keel?
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yes.
Randall?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right. Move on to reports. We have our new deputy. Come on up.
My name's Damian Cardis, a very unique name. A lot of people say Carter instead of Cardis, so like if you know the Kardashians, I know that's probably a, if you look at Kardashian, my name is in the name Kardashian.
So you're not a
Not a
Kardashian?
Kardashian, no.
Okay.
No, that's probably the easiest way of how to spell it, if you like, you think me, you think Kardashian, so just.
It's a tough visual.
Yeah. But yeah, started as the deputy here last Monday to replace Phil as he moved on to Del Rapids SRO. So kind of picking up where he kind of left off. So I kind of added some things into the 30-day review here in July. I don't know if it's even noteworthy or anything like that, but I just figured I'd kind of spaz it up a bit. So over the course of July, we had a total of 264 calls for service, which were about 8.8 calls per day in those 30 days. And during that time, security checks of going checking over at the parks. There's 12 of them, which was an increase of 2. Medical calls, we had 8, which was a decrease in 3. The traffic stops, I'll kind of make note as I was talking to Teresa about this. 94, which is an increase of 90. A lot of the traffic stops that I saw, or even mine in our zone, when I looked this up, I make traffic stops off of 38 in Mickelson, which is just right outside of the city limits, so a lot of them don't get seen here, so I think that's why Phil may have missed it. Because I saw, like, wait, well, how are none of my traffic stops here in Hartford? So there's been 94 traffic stops with 30 citations, 46 written warnings, and 30 verbal warnings. with follow-up, so that's including with like case reports. We had 13, which was an increase of 3. Neighbor disputes, we only had 1, which was a decrease of 2. Civil paper processes, we had 8, which was an increase of 7. Public assist, we had 18, which was an increase of 7. DWIs, we only had 1, which was a decrease of 3. Parking problems, we had 4, which was the same. Family disputes, we had 5, which was a decrease of 2. Sheriff office landlines, I don't know, we had 15, which was a decrease of 3. 1 assault, which was a decrease of 1. Abandoned vehicles, 4, a decrease of 2. Suspicious vehicles, we had 4, which were the same. Suspicious activity, we had 2, which was a decrease of 1. Disorderly subjects, we had 4, which was a decrease of 1. Traffic accidents, we only had 1, which was a decrease of 1. And then these were just kind of miscellaneous ones that I thought were noteworthy. We had 6 warrant services. We had 1 runaway, 1 larceny, which is a theft, 2 vandalisms, 5 noise disturbance, 3 burglar alarms, 5 firework calls. And in July in the city of Hartford, we had a total of 5 arrests with a total of 10 case reports. So that's kind of what we had here in July. Any questions for me?
When did we start that the money comes back from fines? Did that start on the 1st of August?
Yeah, it's already started. You know, by the time they collect fines and they process it, I don't expect to see
It'll
it
be
for
a
at least
while.
2 or 3 months before
Right, it'll
we
be a
see the
while.
revenue coming
Okay.
in, but,
Yeah.
yeah, they're already starting to issue tickets off of city ordinance.
Okay.
Damien, what does the public assist all include?
For Phil, he was doing like just going to businesses and just making contacts with business owners. And I'm going to try to follow in the same suit since I'm newer to the area. I've lived in Sioux Falls for 11 years now, but trying to make business type relationships. One thing that I've started doing is going to the daycares that are here in town, just to kind of, as you guys know, with the atmosphere that law enforcement is in, and we don't need kids to be scared of us. And so I've been making contacts with the daycares and kind of going that route. Or we see someone with a flat tire, we go out and help them, or we need someone that needs to, I heard Brandon, they had someone in a wheelchair that got stuck in some rocks on a boulevard. So going and assisting the public in that way.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good. So good to have you here.
If you guys have any questions or anything, I could probably leave my business card if you guys want to shoot me an email of concerns, because I don't spend too much time in the office, but I do try to get in the office about.
Does that have your cell on it?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
I'm working on trying to get a issued
Cell,
cell phone,
okay.
just to say, so that city folks can kind of get over.
Yeah, not that we want to bug you all the time, but there are times when we,
I'll send out his email to you guys, so
Yeah,
if
yeah,
like something
that'd
comes
be
up,
good.
you can, okay.
So yeah, we're just trying to work on seeing if I could, even if it's just a flip phone kind of thing, that's
Right.
like to be like a $200 like something.
right, yeah.
Cool.
And I don't
Well, you're a
know if
Kardashian, you ain't Kardashian.
Yeah, I should have money.
I don't know if it's, I don't know if all you guys know, but the school has a new resource officer too this year, they're gonna be having
Oh.
it, so,
Yeah, Jen
the
retired,
name- yeah,
Okay,
I
and
can't
local,
remember.
and Bill Smith is replacing her.
okay.
He's gonna be a great addition over there.
It'd be, at some point when we get closer to school, it'd be nice if he's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on fair duty right now, so they're.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
a crazy time.
Yeah,
Cool,
all right,
awesome.
All right, thank you.
thank you. All right, Gabe. Yeah, I should have spun around all this.
You should in your chair.
Thank you for having me. It's good to see you all. So yeah, July was a whirlwind of a month. Had a lot that we were doing. worked with the chamber, with the HADF, and then also DHI on their budget preparation, getting the budgets in order for proposals to Teresa for this coming year, and also just seeing where we were at with our budgets. Also did a lot of meeting with local landowners and business owners to have conversations and build those relationships, and then responded to 4 specific RFIs that we were directed to by GOED, and then working on one RFI that was brought to us by a local contact, and then we actually declined to respond to a few more that we received just because I didn't feel they were good fits for Hartford, and I talked about those with Teresa when they came through to make sure that it wasn't just my decision, but we had a mutual understanding that they weren't the best fits for Hartford. With the chamber, we also had a number of things that we were working on with events. We hosted the Business in the Park event, and then we've been planning and organizing for tomorrow's Golf Classic. So we're ready and rearing for that. Today was a whirlwind of getting everything finalized and just prepped for that. And then also currently working with the executive board to look at new ways that we can bring value to our member businesses due to the restrictions that are placed on chambers and activities with the ongoing COVID situation. So we're continuing to look at more ways that we can bring value to not only our chamber members, but also the business community at large. So expect some good things, including some more social media content that we look at bringing here in the future. One such event that I'd like to highlight that we're going to have here coming up shortly is going to be another coffee with the cop event, but it's actually going to be a virtual event online. And Damien and I are going to host a little virtual get to know one another and stream that live over Facebook using the Chamber's account so that the individuals here in the community get to know a little bit more about Officer Damien, and then he can introduce himself to the community, and we'll work more with ongoing, continuing that project throughout the year. And then regionally, I went to Pierre for the Dakota Resources Housing Gathering event in July to look at housing projects, and from that event, connected with a number of regional developers who are actively looking at Hartford for apartment projects, and then entry-level housing, and then seeing what they can bring to help Hartford meet the need that we have for housing and bolster our stock. So very busy month, and we're looking at another busy August with everything we have going on, and just keep cracking away one step in front of the other. Any questions?
So are you guys gonna spin around back to back, or what do you?
Not sure. Not sure. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, we'll have to.
I might not have to spin around. It might just be the slogan since we.
Whenever you're doing one of those, it pops up on my, I always think, oh, what's he gonna do now?
Thankfully, it's not TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
I know we might not be able to put it on TikTok much longer.
Yeah.
But you see, we recently did one of the Facebook Lives with the school to help promote their needs and PPEs for the students coming into this fall. So we're definitely open to working with our different businesses, and if they need to get information out there, we're definitely willing from the chamber side to work with them to get that info out there using Facebook Live and whatever means we have available. So.
Sounds good.
Farmers Market Thursday night.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. So a lot of big, good events coming up in August.
This week, yes. All right. Any questions for Gabe? All right.
No HADF meeting tomorrow, correct?
Correct. We will all be at the Golf Classic.
Awesome.
So you can show up at Stomping Grounds, but
So
Justin will probably give you coffee and serve you breakfast, but there won't be a meeting for you to attend.
Excellent. Sounds good. Thanks, Gabe.
All right, thanks, Gabe. See, we have Mr. Brown here tonight, so, man.
Hi guys,
Hi, John.
glad to be here. I don't get to be here very often. So I'm for those of you who don't know, I'm John. I work with Mitch. Mitch is on vacation this week, so I was able to get out to the projects, take a look at, see how things are going and stuff. So I'm going to give a quick overview. 9th Street's coming along really well. All the utility work is completed. The underground stuff, the sewer, the water, the storm sewer, the boxes are even built. Zacharias is starting to work on the grading now, so that'll be probably wrapping up the end of this week. And so, that's progressing real well. We do have a pay application on the agenda tonight, we need action on. We do recommend, authorization and approval of that pay application in the amount of $77,175.14. If that's acceptable to you, we'd recommend, voting on that at this time.
I think we'll take care of that right now. Anybody wanna make a motion to that, I'll be back.
Motion to approve pay application number 1, application date 7/24 as presented for $77,175.14.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? And I see you got the retainage and all that stuff is
Yep.
on the paperwork here.
About $8,500 in retainage has been held back, and that's customary, or we do that on a regular basis on these projects.
Geez, they've had perfect weather to work up there. I mean, they should nail that.
Yeah,
Kind of schedule, you would think.
It's all dependent on other projects as well.
Yeah, you would think. That's the key words there. You would think.
You would think,
Yeah, you would think.
but coming along real well, guys, so.
All right. Any more discussion on that? If not, we'll vote. Randall?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
O'Hare?
Yes.
And I'll be a yes. All right?
Okay, the industrial park sanitary sewer, that project's, we're completed with the design, it's really just waiting on some funding. We're applying for some additional funding, and I don't know a lot about that project, but, I think even the last easement's been secured now. We've got some paperwork, I
I
thought.
think we're still waiting for an easement from Bill Hogan property,
Right.
otherwise the rest of them, we have secured and we
Yeah.
filed,
Yeah.
so.
That's what I was under the understanding. We still do not have one.
We're still trying to work with him.
Yeah.
Okay?
And then, the Root and Opal Lane, intersection improvements got started this week. The removals are complete, they did the bypass, road so they can get around that intersection still. So that project just got started, should progress, relatively quickly, it's a smaller project. We are doing some investigating right now, there's some utility conflicts in that intersection that we've gotta work out. But they're doing some potholing and just determining the elevations of everything out there right now. So there's some investigative work going on at this time. The CIP updates, that's been completed. We submitted the updated CIP. We do need to still work on the sewer rates and the water rates based on, what the project cost will be for the sanitary sewer treatment facility. That's a big project, and so that's kind of the one thing that we still need to evaluate in your rates and see how that's gonna affect your rates. That's something for the new council members, is we do have in our, I guess, possession, a spreadsheet that really, we can take all of our projects and incorporate them into, basically a 5-year plan to see how that affects your rates. So basically just evaluating the cost or a payment on a major project to see how that affects your rates and what you have to do to increase those rates to cover those costs. And so that's something that we do on a regular basis, but that's the one thing we still have to do, and that's gonna kind of depend on what the project cost is. We've got a rough estimate, but that will get zeroed in over the next year, as you move forward with that treatment facility. But that is still remaining. On the wastewater treatment facility, I just talked to Tom about this, land has been secured, so that's a big deal. I mean, that's been basically about a 2.5-year process to get that land secured, so that's a big deal there. And then also, we're working on the geotechnical, soil borings have been completed, we're waiting on the actual report for that. All the environmental agency review letters have been issued to the agencies, and we're waiting for a response back from them. Once we gather all those together, we'll just turn them over to you guys. We'll actually get a packet, if you will, and transmittal submitted to you so you can pass that on to whoever needs that. And that's really all we're gonna be doing on that. If you recall, there was just a certain amount of dollars we were gonna spend, and then we'll cut it off, and then we'll go from there.
Yep.
So, Mickelson Road improvements, the LOMAR, which is a letter of map revision, is a FEMA process that we had to go through on that whole project. First of all, when we started the project, you have to do a survey of that whole area, evaluate what the drainage is gonna be, then you put a model together to show what that street would look like. And then when you're all done with the project, which is completed now, the Mickelson Road, you go back out there and you resurvey and evaluate it and make sure that it's what you showed it was gonna be in the model. And then that model gets submitted to FEMA for their review, and that's been done. We've completed that, and it's been submitted for their review at this point, and we're awaiting their response. If everything's okay, they'll sign off on it, and it'll be, basically, you'll be in good shape and be able to utilize that information going forward for your flood information upstream and down of that intersection of where that stormwater passes through there. The Vandermark Avenue, Travis, we met with Travis a couple weeks ago. There's been some concerns out there, especially about the seed, some of the concrete work, and just reminded Travis too that, you know, it's under warranty, so these are warranty items that are gonna get addressed. There is more than normal. I'll be the first to admit that, and, you know, we don't like to see that either. A lot more weeds than normal. So those items have been identified and the contractors have been notified. I anticipate mid-September, those punch lists or warranty items will be taken care of by then. That's a good timing anyway. That's when we want that reseeding to be taking place and stuff. And we did talk to the golf course about what they wanted done there. They didn't want it completely killed off and redone. They would rather see us spray it and then overseed it and just take care of it that way and do any other cleanup that we needed to do from there. So just so you know that, Travis, so we did follow up on that.
You're talking right there with the fence.
Yeah, right, underneath that fence, it's just
Right
nothing
there.
but weeds.
Where it turns around 13 and 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 With that, force account, I'm not real familiar on what's been happening with the force account, but I'd be glad to take back any questions to Mitch. He'll be back next week. I can bring that information to you, so if you do have any questions about the force account items that have been reviewed, I really don't have a lot of information for you on that, but I'll certainly take back any questions you have.
This is gonna sound a little goofy, but you talked about warranty, like our sidewalk there all the way along Mickelson. Is that like a 1 year, 2
Yeah.
year? 1 year.
Yeah, it's a 1-year warranty that we have on all of our, you know, projects, all projects. It's customary in our industry to have a 1-year warranty, just so you know that, I guess. So,
That's what I figured.
and we put it on our calendar at 10.5 months. We put it on our calendar to make sure we're getting Craig and getting city staff and we make sure that happens. And that's really, it fell right into place with your concerns at this point, Travis, so.
Well, there's two kinds of concrete. It's either cracked
Well,
or it's gonna.
well, we had a little.
And I got the
cracking going
kind
on.
that's gonna, or that already has.
I guess I guess I'll support Travis on this one. We had a little more than normal on this one, so, yeah. But we're gonna get it taken care of, and, I mean, guys, that's a good project up there. At the end of the day, you know, the project, the first half of that got seeded within the seed window, nailed, you know. I mean, great seed. It's just when the contractor chooses, it's their preference if they wanna do that, to seed it outside of the seed window. They have to come back and reseed it until we get it taken, until we get a good take. Well, it's very frustrating because there's a lot of weeds out there and they end up going to seed and things like that. So it becomes very frustrating that way, but just, bear with us a little bit on that and we'll try to get that taken care of this next go around, so.
There was a question about Vandermark as far as like getting striped or no parking. Obviously the speed trailer's been up there for quite a while analyzing speed limit and things like that. Is that as a
We didn't have
as a
it on our-
collector? Is there
Yeah,
no?
it would be considered a minor collector, just because it's half a mile, you know, and it won't extend more than a mile, actually. So we could certainly stripe it. It doesn't need to be a collector to be striped. If you want a center line skip or a double yellow through there, we certainly could do that. We don't have that in the plan. If we had to do that, we'd have to add it, and I'd probably add it to the other project is what I'd do if you needed it. If you wanted that, unless you already have a striping contract with anybody, we'd have to add it. But we certainly do it if you needed to, but it'd have to be a change order on to probably the 9th Street project now, if we wanted to do that.
But
But,
Mickelson isn't striped at all, is it?
Yes,
It is.
yeah, Mickelson, yeah,
there's turning lane there all the way.
especially the, yeah.
Pretty much 3-lane road.
Yeah.
It's more like a 3-lane road.
That's true,
or-
yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
3-lane road.
Yeah, but, so if you want us to pursue that, let us know, we can get a number for you and get that approved before we do it. Obviously, we get a change order in front of you for action.
The concern is, as those houses are being built along there, about parking, double yellow might not be all bad,
Mhm.
as houses go in there.
Yeah.
Always looking for input from our local law enforcement as far as any recommendations they would have for that, and,
I guess if you were gonna strike it, I'd suggest a double yellow up through there
Sure.
and just skip the intersection, jump over the intersections, but that's my suggestion. But
Is
that's-
there no speed limit signs?
they're there, they're 20 currently.
Oh,
Yeah, it's slow, I mean, people should be going slow through there anyway, but,
Well, they don't, but they should.
yeah,
Anymore.
that's why we got an accelerator, right?
All right.
Any other questions? Sorry.
Anything else for John? No? That's fine. Anything else?
Okay, thank you very much.
All right,
Nice
thanks
to
for
be here.
Craig, welcome back. You weren't here last meeting, were you?
Nope, I missed last one, so I had an opportunity to try out the old COVID test.
Oh,
So it wasn't very entertaining.
yeah.
Anyway, so I'm just gonna add a couple things here. Slurry seal, that's still kind of scheduled for 13th, 14th, around there. We've been doing some patching on those roads that are gonna get done. We'll have that wrapped up this week, be ready for the guys. Working on some crosswalks, getting those painted. Highway 38, I did talk to Travis Gresson here the other day, working on that welcome sign, trying to find a spot for that. That'll work for them and everything. They're happy with it, and we're happy with it. And then he also mentioned about the turning lanes that they're coming down. You notice right now they're working up in that Buffalo Ridge area, or Buffalo,
Yeah,
up there.
or Semcast kind
Yeah,
of
up
turnout.
there. So they will be coming down. They're gonna be doing a turn lane there at Mickelson, and then another one at the Colton Road. But he said
Oh.
basically it's gonna be a 3-lane all the way from the interstate, all the way up to, into Hartford.
Okay.
So we said it'll be like the no turning, you know, or no passing, stuff like that, like it is down there by Heights, Hartford. So that's gonna be, that'll be working on that, they're working this way now.
Okay.
Any reduced speeds?
I talked to him about that, last year I think it was, they don't see it, they were gonna do some studies and stuff like that, they don't like to slow their traffic down, so.
Well, a turning lane will help, because I'm
Yeah.
telling you, when you're sitting there on 38 to turn on to Mickelson,
Some of the
and you're
lanes
looking in your
might be
mirror, oh, there's times that gets a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I wonder if people aren't paying attention. I'm surprised we haven't had somebody get whacked there.
Yep, no, I pointed it out to him about dropping speeds maybe a little further down, but
Yeah.
it hasn't got very far, it's kind of one of those things that's kind of tough to drop speeds on their
And
head.
those 3 lanes with no passing, that's just usually a recommendation, because I had somebody pass me the other day, like I was standing still.
The people coming off the off ramps,
Yeah.
they gotta remember, cross traffic does not stop.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a dangerous area up there.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree, that turning lane will help
Yeah, that will
a
happen.
lot.
Oh, man, that, I'll tell you, there's been more than once I've been looking in my mirror thinking, oh, boy.
The question came up, who pays for that, obviously?
DOT's paying for
State.
that.
That's a
Yeah.
state
Okay.
project.
Yeah, it's all state project, yep. I just got together with him and we talked about some of the intersections and they added Mickelson at that time, so.
So they'll land on both sides, it'll be 3 lanes all the way coming in.
Yep.
That'll be nice.
Of course.
That will really be nice.
Because of a project we did triggers that,
Yeah,
or because of the
they,
development in this
yeah,
case.
they were actually looking at doing some of those other ones prior, and then once we got Mickelson done, they added
Okay.
that to it, just to make sure they're covered on it also.
That's nice.
So DOT's always been
Yep,
to work with, they will listen to you and put input in and help work with the cities pretty good. I wish we had the same relationship with Kelly, but it's coming, it's getting better. No offense.
It's better, they just opted out of their tax free, so Money, more problems.
And then the only other thing I got to add is, I chose to skip golfing tomorrow. I will be working, but,
Oh, wow!
but I will be gone Thursday through Sunday, so. That's all I got.
Gabe. Make a note of that, Gabe.
Well, the shots were already fired earlier.
Yeah, I'm sure, by the sounds of it, they were. Do we wanna talk about your top lift and stuff that's on there at the bottom, or?
Is that on
Yeah, it says new developments,
Basically,
Mitch
no
is where, or you wanna
change.
wait till Mitch is here?
Yeah, basically it's no change.
Yeah.
From what we talked about at our last meeting.
Okay,
It's still the same recommendation. Like I said, we're gonna add in, Mitch actually changed the design and standards to add like a 6-month period, like we were talking, at a minimum. And that's gonna go to planning and
P&Z.
zoning
Okay.
next week, and then come back in front of you guys.
oh, what?
Yeah.
I got together with Mitch after the last
Okay.
meeting, we talked it over.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, speed trailer's been up on Vandermark there. for
I
a
know, I was
while.
gonna get it out of there.
And that's fine, the thought I had was, there's been no, we haven't really done any other traffic counts this year, this summer.
I've had it out, earlier, but I haven't had it out.
Thinking of the,
I was one of those things, when I did put it out, the counts were low, and I thought, do we really wanna do traffic counts?
Sure.
Just with COVID going on, it's not gonna
Right.
be good, accurate
right,
information. It will tell us some speeds and stuff like that, but, I mean, you wouldn't wanna use those counts for luring in business in
Sure.
town.
yeah, right.
I've had a couple great comments about no mosquitoes, but we haven't had any rain. But Jesse's, I know he's been out.
Yeah, he's been out.
Because they said they've heard the fogger, but we haven't had any rain. But man, I tell you what, I haven't hardly seen a mosquito.
Yeah, the counts have been really low in the
Yeah.
tracks, really low.
So that's awesome if we can keep at them. Or we might as well throw West Nile in on top of everything else.
Don't start saying that.
Guess you guys got anything else for me, or?
I don't think so.
Questions,
Well,
concerns?
have fun. Since you're not golfing tomorrow, have fun.
Yeah.
Oh, anything on our park yet? No? Things are moving ahead on Turtle.
I haven't heard nothing back
Rick?
yet, I would
They
say-
have a meeting, the US Geographic Board is meeting, not next week, the following week, so we'll hear something this month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That should be the answer.
yeah, that'll be, I think, the final stop when the buck stops.
That's it.
I think so, yeah.
And it won't be
Yeah.
a tributary that dumps into the Skunk Creek or whatever we call it.
Hopefully,
Yeah, it's
that's,
not-
hopefully.
I think it's, like I said, it's not this coming week, but I think it's the following Thursday, if I
right.
remember my calendar correctly.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Karen?
Yeah, my report is pretty much the standard items. I did note we've decided we're going to close the pool August 16th for the season at 5 p.m. Things have been going good, according to Amy. We did have to hire one more assistant manager because one quit, so we got someone to fill that, and yeah. Other than that, unless you got questions for me.
16th, not this Saturday. Sunday's week from Sunday.
It'll be, yeah, a couple
School
Sundays, a
starts
Sunday.
the 20th, right?
Yep, that following Thursday it starts.
Wow. That was the only thing that really had me thinking about traffic counts. Craig, was the school starting,
Yeah, I could certainly get them out, I got them, and they're in my truck, I just,
which routes they prefer, speed, stuff like that.
All right. Any other questions from Karen? None? All right, thanks. Teresa? And Dad?
Nothing really to add, just give you a few updates. One thing I did want to point out, rural water services. We have about 3 accounts in town presently that are just sewer only, which means we just have their sewers hooked up to the city services. They actually get their water from rural water, Minnehaha Community Water.
Okay.
And if we were ever to take over one of their services, basically, we have a contract with rural water that states we have to pay X amount of dollars, and that dollar figure is made up of basically a formula they have is what their total debt is and how many services they have, and divided by, you know, the number of services, that's how they come up with what it costs to take over a water service. And right now it's about $2,500. Now they're in the process of doing a big project coming up here. So they're gonna assume a lot more debt, so that cost is gonna rise. So we've talked with them, me and Craig, about possibly taking over those services that are in town right now. Get them taken over now before that cost per service increases. It makes sense. It's mainly along Western, Tammons is one of them, Cressman's along Mickelson. Basically, they're in favor of it because they could eliminate basically a line there. We would take it out over. So we're in talks with them. We want to see exactly where the lines are, what we need to do, what it would cost us, and so we're trying to gather some more information. So I just want to let you know we'll have some more discussions and some more information for you in the future coming forward. But it seems to us to make sense to try to take those over and get them totally switched over to the city now before, like I said, it will cost us more in the future to do that. So just kind of pointing that out to you, and we'll get some more information to you, and we'll have some more discussions about it. But
They're already in the city limits, it's not like
yeah,
there are
these,
no more islands of county property.
right, these are all already in the city limits. They just happen to be, they started off on rural water and then they never got switched over to city. So so we're gonna take a look at that, of what it would take to get them switched over now before it, like I said, costs us more in the future. Okay.
Anything else you need to add, or?
Nothing to add. If you have any questions?
I see Walmart's gonna pay us for our playground stuff, that's good.
Yep, we Craig's gathered all the quotes for that. We submitted it. They said everything looks good. They're processing a check for us. So
Awesome.
Craig's working to get the equipment sandblasted and painted, and hopefully we get that switched around yet this fall. So
All right.
That's good.
Anybody got any other questions for Teresa? See, we have no old business. We have 2 items under new business. First one is review our draft for request for proposals for future wastewater treatment facility.
So this draft that's in your packet, basically, like I told you at the last meeting, Pier had done something very similar, so they sent me their template, which was really helpful to kind of go by. We've called, I've labeled it a request for proposal because we've always been saying that, though we're looking for engineering services, so might make more sense to call it request for qualifications because it's a professional service that we're looking for. So that might be one change we might want to tweak. All we got to do is change it to an RFP to an RFQ. But basically, like I said, I used their template, kind of put out, kind of the background of our, current treatment facility, project goals of what we're looking at, in my mind, from what I've kind of gathered from our conversations, basically we're looking for a firm that basically will familiarize themselves with what we currently have, kind of evaluate the various options to consider for a future wastewater treatment facility, and then to help with, the design and the bidding and the construction of it. I also put in here that we want somebody that will do follow-up service, be a contact, to future issues, somebody we can always, go back with questions or if we need help or whatnot. I guess the biggest thing is the qualification requirements. That list is what I think we should all look for to submit within a proposal. Obviously you want a cover letter, you want a description of their firm, where their offices are, what they propose, what their fees are for their personnel, what projects, similar projects they've worked on in the last few years. Kind of a list of things that they should probably submit with this proposal. So I guess that's a big thing I want the council to look at, see if you're comfortable with that, if you think there's things that may be missing that we also want to look at, or things we want to change. And then I also want the council to look at my evaluation criteria in there. Peer kind of used this evaluation criteria. Basically, different aspects of the proposal, you know, like the quality of the proposal and the experience of the firm, understanding the project, local resources, cost effectiveness, their experience with funding and grant. Each of them are given a certain percentage weight in it, which is what we use to basically kind of break down our, you know, whatever we want to go with, the top 2 or 3, you know, proposals to look at further. So are we comfortable with that criteria? So I guess I'm looking for the council to get your input of the overall proposal, if you think there's anything missing or needed, if you're comfortable with the criteria. And then I think we need to do a little bit of discussion of how's this process gonna work. You know, are we going to have a team that's gonna evaluate the proposals coming in? Who are we gonna be looking for proposals from? You know, who do we send this to? You know, anybody and everybody, or, and then when they come in, like I said, do we have a team that evaluates them and then knocks it down to the first 2 or 3 or whatever? And does that go before the full council or just the team again? Or I guess now it's in your corporate discussion. What would you think?
Well, as you touched on, I think you're right. The first thing we should change is change it from request for proposal to request for qualifications. Because the draft itself, you know, kind of changes midway where it says qualification requirements, and then from there on out it talks about qualifications.
Right.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense.
But as to how we go, how do we advertise this, how do we? I don't know if I have the answer, I don't know.
I guess, well, that cherry picking, I mean, how do we don't know what we need or what we're looking for.
Sure.
So who makes that selection on who to send them to? So that'd be.
I can tell you the last time we looked for engineering firms, you know, basically, obviously we just advertise it. I mean, so anybody could have the opportunity, but then I also specifically, you know, I just did a Google search with local ones, companies, you know, in our area, and I sent it out to probably, I think there's 25 or 30, and then, you know, we had, I'll respond or whatever, respond, so. I don't think we, obviously don't wanna make it so, definitely want somebody there, because like I said, we want somebody that has a firm here that is supportive, that can help, be ongoing help with this project, not just with the building or design of it, building of it, but then ongoing after that. So you definitely want someone in the Midwest, you know, the area.
Yeah.
So you went and you used this document as a guideline from here. Are there people that you know that you could say, how did you go about advertising, or how did you select your?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could contact here, and there's some other cities that didn't quite do a wastewater, but have sent out proposals for one, that I could contact, see, yeah, how did you advertise it, yeah, how did you come up with, you know.
Just to get some
got
good
this.
input and ideas.
Right, yeah.
From people who've been down that road before.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly, so, I can definitely, contact here.
Yeah, if this was a job posting, you can post it on Indeed, but I don't know if there's an engineering version of that.
It's not that I'm aware of it, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. But, I mean, I can definitely check with other cities and municipalities to see.
Well, it'd be kind of nice too, because if you have that direction, then you sort of, if you will, pre-qualify where you're going to target market, as opposed to just blanketing it out there.
Right.
I think there's like through the water and wastewater conference, they always got a list of all the sponsors and that, and there's a lot of engineer firms.
Right.
there that
I was
from
gonna say, the
states.
municipal league, I was just gonna say, the municipal league, you know, that's a
Right there.
good source,
Yeah,
because a
right
lot of
there.
engineering firms
I think-
grab that
Yeah, I
too.
think anybody that you have that's working with associations in the state of South Dakota are gonna be all your, you know, your local ones within
Right.
your 5 states, and I think them are the ones that you probably wanna concentrate on.
One definitely target, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Get you that.
So what do we need for a next step?
So,
We propose a team,
yeah, so then,
pare it down to a
Yeah.
manageable number potentially.
right,
So we want that team to also be advising as to how we're advertising this? Or are you thinking the team more after we've received the proposal? Shotgun out the request for proposal or for qualification, and then have the team prepared to do the
reading them all and evaluating them, yeah,
vetting as,
right.
since it's a political year, we'll use vetting. So what would you anticipate, you and Craig and 2 or 3 from the council?
Yeah, I definitely am. Gabe has a little experience with it, so me, Craig, and Gabe is for staff, and yeah, 2 or 3 from the council,
Okay.
probably.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna excuse myself from that since I'm gonna be probably laid out for a few weeks, so.
Plenty of time to read then.
It's pretty interesting reading material.
As I told my wife, I've been joking with all my buddies for years. You know, when I get done, I'm gonna write a book.
There you go.
I don't think it'll be publishable, but I'm gonna write a book. Because there's gonna be stories in there that people are gonna cringe. Anyway, so I would probably step aside from that. I would say,
I would volunteer for that.
Travis, you'd be a good one.
If we have a full council here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he has so much interest in what we're doing as far as wastewater, Monahan would probably be a good choice. I would throw.
you
him-
went through the last process, so you probably, you know,
Yeah, I
at
think
least
he
have good
probably-
insight of with that, so. I can contact him, sure.
One of you two, Lamont or Mark, one of you two have any interest or?
Don't know a whole lot about the wastewater.
Lamont?
That's my concern, because I don't know.
So then let's, since he's not here, let's put the mayor on there for now.
There you go, perfect. Mayor.
That'll learn him.
Yep, there you go.
So that would be the committee. Let's start with that. Just
Yep.
send a note out to them all and just say, hey,
Yep.
we put you on this.
So, make sure that works, so.
And then I would make any corrections you need to this to change it from a request for proposal. I looked through it, I didn't read it word for word, but I didn't see anything that made me think this won't work for us.
We have 2 representatives from planning and zoning here.
Yeah.
I don't know that it'd be outside of, it certainly wouldn't be out of their wheelhouse to have.
One of them be on there.
Yep, I think it'd probably be good to have at least a representative planning and zoning.
Would you like to be on this committee then, wastewater representative P and Z? Kind of quality and all kinds of guy. Nobody's in.
Okay.
He's gonna be buying a gear forever.
Good luck with that. Do we need to vote on that or no? We should be
I think
good
just
since they're
give me just give me a direction,
being
I'll
appointed in
contact them.
abstention, a couple of them, so. I like that. Man, I read that this morning somewhere.
Word power.
I'll follow, maybe for follow-up, I'll kind of touch base with other cities,
Yep.
see what they do.
Yep.
I'll contact the members of the team that aren't here, make sure they're good with it, and then I'll follow up with emails with you guys
Yep.
and say, okay, does this sound like a good plan going forward, and kind of go from there, so. Okay,
No, I appreciate your work. I think I think we're on the right track.
all right,
So-
sounds good.
I feel good about that. So, good, thank you for doing that.
All right,
What is our, review draft lease?
so, this is a lease agreement that Tom drafted. We talked about if city was to, lease city property to, citizens that abut some of the city's property, what would a lease agreement look like, how would that be? So Tom put this together for the council to review. He's probably talking about it in a little more detail.
Yeah, personally, I don't know that we're at a point where we're ready to have this become a living thing, maybe. Is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word. I don't feel yet that we're at the point where we're ready to say we're gonna go sign leases. I think we got a little more homework that needs to be done. Personally, that's just me.
This could be utilized anywhere in the city, right?
Correct.
I was reading it, it's pretty generic.
The way this was drawn up though was
Oh,
more specific to
To that area?
that area
See
where
it now.
along Turtle Creek.
Right.
I see
It's
it.
got that jagged piece of property behind everybody's houses that kept them out of the floodplain.
Correct.
That's now city-owned property so that their properties don't require flood insurance. So
The good news is nobody's phones start ringing off the hook when this packet hit the public's viewing.
No, which is kind of a good thing.
And Tom, that lease property where you described the track 2, A2, block 1, Kelly Point, that would change based on, because that's not that whole thing.
yeah, it is.
It's the whole strip.
That whole strip along Turtle Creek.
Oh.
I know there's 10 or
No.
12 or 13 lots.
It does everything down to Eric Bartman's house. It does not go anywhere around the corner.
Right, it doesn't take the corner though, it's just, on the north side, yep.
Which
That's
does
that
not even
track.
include what we initially brought this all
No,
about.
no, it
which
doesn't,
would be the
so-
Park Edition, track 3.
So, the initial property, this isn't an option, or the way this is drafted, yeah.
And it also does not include, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember my mini maps here, it does not include east of, let me get it up here.
Of Sharon Mark, the one that goes north and south, yeah, no, it's just the north side, you're right, it doesn't include anything to the east that goes north and south, that's what you're thinking?
Right, so, and I know from like Eric Bartman's on down, this A2 doesn't include that
Right,
either.
right, you're correct. Yeah. It would not include any of that that goes down south.
This was just, we can change legal description if you're talking about other
That's
properties.
what I.
This was just
essentially my
unique as
question
an
was.
example, what it would look like for
Sure.
those properties along Turtle
Eric's
Creek
is 708.
that are no longer in the floodplain.
So yeah, it's. Yeah, exactly, 708.
Yeah, because that
So
property
it's
that
everything to
initially
the west
was
of that? What is there, 10?
the issue is not in floodplain either.
No, that's
That's,
over by
He's the
the park.
11th property,
By
so
the
there's
park
10,
property here.
he's the 11th
Yeah,
property.
it's further east.
And I think we have to have a little more discussion.
So-
on that.
so I guess,
Honestly,
yeah.
I'd like to have everybody here when we get to this point.
It might be better with a full council to
Yes.
have some more discussion, because,
Yep.
if we go down the road to start offering leases for city-owned property, it's gonna open a lot of areas, it isn't just that strip,
Right.
there's city-owned property along the creek, and everywhere. There's quite a bit of area that private citizens abut up to, so it's,
yeah, and I think we have one complaint, one filed formal complaint,
Right,
right,
and that's it. So that's really the only thing that we're
yeah,
at this point.
yeah,
that we probably just
I mean,
need to
that's-
address. Yeah, exactly, that's the only.
I mean, I appreciate Tom and you guys following, because this is what we asked you to do, but I don't know that we're at that. I just don't know that we're at that point quite yet.
Yeah, definitely a lot of consideration should be,
Oh, yeah, I think we got a little more talking to do.
be talked about with
before
this,
it's-
yeah.
At least you had something in front of you to talk
Thanks,
about.
Tom, for doing that.
Yeah.
The
And
conversation
I say that
piece
kind
is
of in
nothing
a
else.
thanks, Tom.
So,
More reading while you're listening.
Yeah, I'm gonna be writing my book.
like I said, I think if we're gonna talk about leasing any city ground, it probably should be the full council talking about it.
All right. Anything else on that? We good? We got one piece of correspondence. Our annual 15th year in a row. Congratulations to our public water service for the drinking water award. And Craig, thank you for all your good work.
Oops. Guys do, they're all
Yep.
in on this, so.
You bet. Craig and Neil and Jesse, we have 3 operators, so we appreciate that, keeping our water safe.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have anything for executive?
I got one personnel
thing.
item.
One personnel item? All right, I'd call for a motion to go into executive session,
So moved.
and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thanks you guys for coming.
Thank you guys.
Nice meeting you guys.
You bet, thank you, deputy. 8:01. I was trying to get her done by 8 o'clock. Need a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.